Todd Rosiak joining us right now. You can follow him at Todd_Rosiak, covers the Brewers for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Todd, great to have you on. Can you describe what the plan is for the Milwaukee Brewers? Not long-term, we know that, but in 2024?
Yeah, the Sanchez thing, if it does come to fruition, is pretty interesting. You look at them trading away Corbin Burnes last week, and since then, they've taken that money that they would have spent on Corbin and allocated it to Jacob Junis, now Gary Sanchez, and the two youngsters they got from the Orioles for Burnes. So able to plug some holes that they had existing. And I think kind of the plan is if Sanchez, passes his physical and everything, you're looking at a team that's going to be built more around offense and also the bullpen, and then trying to piece together that starting rotation as best as possible.
Okay, so this was a strictly because I'm so confused with what the Brewers are doing. I can't figure it out. You trade Corbin Burnes, you get two pieces back, right? But then you have William Contreras as your everyday catcher. He's pretty darn good. So where's Gary Sanchez going to play? Is he a DH? Is William Contreras okay with being a part-time catcher now, basically? Is he going to play first because you signed Bowers and you have, let's not forget behind the plate, you have Nola and you also have Haas back there. So this to me was a confusing sign. Listen, I'm happy Gary Sanchez got some money, found a place to play, but to me it just didn't make sense the team he signed with.
Yeah, all good questions, and really, the Brewers, if you go back the last few years, offense has needed a jump start for sure. And William Contreras obviously had a great year last year. Does real well when he's in that DH slot as well. So I think what you're going to see is kind of a combination. You're going to have Contreras and Gary Sanchez out there pretty much every day, and one of them's going to be catching, one of them's going to be DHing. And, don't forget Rhys Hoskins as well. That's another guy that I think you could see mixed into that DH role, as well as Christian Yelich, too. So, this is a team that 2 years ago had Andrew McCutchen as the DH, was okay, not as good as they thought he was going to be. Last year, Jesse Winker just did not work out. So at least they've got some really good proven options now that they can kind of rotate through that DH spot, to help bolster that offense.
Before I ask my question, I'm just going to give a shout out to Eric Haas because I was in that situation. I thought I was coming to join a really awesome team, and then whammo, they went and got somebody else. So wear it, Eric Haas. I understand and I feel for you. But my question is, my question is,
Austin Nola next? Too. Don't forget about Nola. He's also there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Haas is on the 40-man.
No, they're both non-roster.
Haas is on the roster.
Haas is on the 40-man.
Oh, Haas is on the roster. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're both non-roster guys.
So I feel for his plight. But what's next for the Brewers? Are there still moves? Because didn't see this move happening. We spent 10 minutes trying to find my friend Gary Sanchez a job somewhere in the game, and we didn't expect it to be, backing up a platinum glove winner.
Yeah, Eric, first of all, good to see you again, man. Been a while. Always good to work with you back in the day. It's interesting. The Brewers have been very good at this. I don't know if I'd call them stealth signings or stealth acquisitions, but they tend to wait in the weeds. And as you get closer to spring training, and guys, I think, and their agents, they're getting a little bit more nervous about, hey, we need a job here. We got to get going. The Brewers in past years have been able to land themselves some really good players and some really good deals. I'm not sure how long the conversations were going with Gary Sanchez, but again, if you can add an impact bat like that, a guy who you can probably, if he's healthy, pencil in for anywhere between 20 and 30 homers. He's also defensively very underrated. I was actually surprised looking at the metrics for him defensively. That's an acquisition you got to make. And, it sounds like it's going to be a 1 year with an option. So, if it works out for both parties this year, great. And then you kind of reassess going into next year again.
You had a really interesting article about, 5 answers that need to be made with the Brewers. It might be a 2-part question, but I want you to talk about this young resurgence, or the resurgence of these young ball players the Milwaukee Brewers have. 9 guys came up into the big leagues last year. And then my second part to that would be, Christian Yelich didn't have that MVP caliber season that we're used to, as you talked about. Can you see him kind of moving around a little bit, maybe a little DH or somewhere else?
Yeah. Todd Father, first of all, I dug out a little souvenir here. Remember those?
Yes, nice.
I'm good buddies with James Mims, and I got a
He's
huge
the best.
collection of these. So thought you get a kick out of seeing that.
That's awesome.
Wait, describe that for there's a crowd later that'll listen to this and not be able to see it. What do you got?
I'm in my early 50s, and I grew up. Many guys wore these. They're called Mims bands, wristbands, and they had the pictures of players on them that wore them. A number of Hall of Famers. And Todd, at a point in his career, and he's with the Reds, was lucky enough to be able to wear these. And there's a really big kind of almost a cultish following for these things. I've got hundreds of them actually. They're kind of vintage now. So just thought Todd would get a kick out of seeing that again.
Yes, for sure.
That's cool.
Anyway, I'll work backwards. As far as Christian Yelich goes, great year last year, resurgence. I think everybody was really excited to see that. Right now, it looks like the role for him is going to be playing left field most days, and then kind of alternating into that DH role when that works out best. The back is always going to be an issue for Christian. He's on the, if you want to call it, the wrong side of 30 right now, and it did kind of bite him a little bit toward the end of last year. But obviously a lot to build on for him coming out of 2023. And that group of young players that you talk about, it's very exciting, I think, for Brewer fans and for the Brewers themselves. This is an organization that's worked really hard to bolster that farm system. And earlier this week, I believe it was, or maybe late last week, Baseball America ranked them as the second best farm system in baseball now, behind the Orioles. So you've got really that influx of young talent that came in last year, the Sal Freliks, the Joey Wiemers, the Bryce Terangs, the Abner Uribes. And then this year you've got guys like Robert Gasser, potentially Jacob Mizorowski. So you've got Tyler Black, pieces that are going to be plugged in, if not coming out of spring training very early in the season, and are going to be filling really major roles for this team. So they've done a really good job of kind of threading the needle between utilizing that veteran leadership and talent that you obviously need, as well as kind of that youthful exuberance that you need as well.
Hey, Todd, I'll tie two questions together. So where do you put the Brewers right now in the National League Central, coming off winning the division by 9 games? And I'd like what the Reds did, but the rest of the division has been pretty quiet, especially the Cubs. And I want to tie that into my other question, with the Brewers being pretty active pre and post Burns trade. Why didn't they just pay an extra couple mil a year and keep Craig Counsell if they genuinely said they loved him that much?
Again, I'll work backwards. I'll start with the Counsell thing first. I really honestly think that Craig Counsell was just dead set on leaving and trying to, I don't know if you want to call it, expand his horizons, challenge himself, whatever the case may be. I didn't see him leaving for just any job. I think everybody had kind of pegged him to going to the Mets. In reality, I don't think that was ever going to happen. The Cubs thing just turned out to be a perfect fit for him, and I think he's really going to relish kind of that fresh start and the challenge that it's going to be for him to get the Cubs back to the World Series. So it was a tough, probably month to 6 weeks here in Milwaukee for fans. Not only seeing Craig Counsell leave, but leave for the bitter rival. But I think the page has been turned, and I think people are excited to see what Pat Murphy can do. And, as far as the Brewers go in the Central Division, I think this is going to be, again, a division that's kind of up in the air. Yes, the Brewers did run away with it late, but it was pretty competitive throughout most of last year. And, the Brewers certainly have questions. I think the starting pitching is obviously the biggest one. But I think the Brewers did a good job of addressing those other needs that they have. And while I don't think I'm going to predict that they're going to run away with the division or even necessarily win it this year, I definitely think if they stay healthy and they get the contributions that they think they're going to get from everybody across the board, I certainly think they're going to be in the hunt up there to the end.
Fair. All right. I like it. Well, Todd, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And we'll see what other kind of weird, interesting moves the Brewers make over the next couple weeks.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me on.